Welcome to Python tutorial number 2. In this video we're going to see how to configure the Python. This is the Python where we are going to edit all the stuff right over here, and here is the shell where we are going to see the output that comes around here. Now I'm going to teach you how to configure Python. You can always go to the options right over here and then click on configure IDLE. So right over here you can see what type of fonts we can use. We can use a lot of fonts with a lot of languages, and it's also completely editable. So I just kept it to Calibri, but you can use the appropriate font which you require or consider it as better. So you can increase the font size here and you can set it to bold. Right over here I'm just going to fix it to bold so it looks pretty much good and much more easy to see it. Now you can see highlights where you can just set the colors and a new customized theme, but I'm just going to set it to the default one, which is the built-in theme, and the others are really a general type of settings which you can just use it. You can always have a lot of extensions which we will see in the upcoming videos. So I'm just going to apply and then click on OK. So now you can see just changed to bold. So now let's take a look about the operators, simply like how you calculate things in Python, which is just the basics we're just going to start with. Now we're going to use the simple one, which is 1 plus 1, which will give the answer as 2. Actually this is one of the best things that is in Python, because in other kind of programming language you have to assign each and every value for an integer and string and kind of things. So now you can see right over here it is just simply whatever you do, it just gives the output then and there and much more easier. And that is why shell is used for a lot of purposes, like trial and error programs and to find mistakes in each line. So that is why you can say that shell is a line by line interpreter. And right over here is the project which you just created and a new work file where you can say that you can just type the whole program and run it in one go, like in a compiler. And that is the difference between the interpreter on the left and compiler on the right. So now let's just use a different functions and do a little bit of math right over here, and you can see that you just have to say what are the operators. Now you can see that I used plus over here, which is addition, and minus for subtraction, and you can just go on with all over things. But for the multiplication I'm just going to use the asterisk, which will just give the right answer when you just use the asterisk. And for the division you can always use the backslash to be much more provisional and easier, as you don't need to use the divisional operator symbol as it won't work properly. So now you can see that whenever I divide, it comes in a decimal point, which is called as the floating point. Actually, whenever it comes to programming languages, whenever the point comes right over there, they are called as the floating point. As we can see right over there, this is called the floating point. And now the last is the floor division, which is just 2/ and then when you just enter it just says 40, which is the reminder for the first floor division. Now you can see that these are the operators which are so easy and much more easier to use in Python. So now we are going to see the basic functions that are available in Python. So we can just ask an example like a simple input and then calculation, that is the logic, and the output is what mainly most of the programs comprises of. So how you can ask for an information using Python. So it's simple that we're just going to ask and get the input, but this is a little bit different. So we're just going to inform about a line. We're just going to print a line so that they can able to see it whenever they use the program. So let's use the function called print. As you can see that the color changes whenever we just type over to a new kind of function, it just changes the color. So let's just change it into a sentence. So we're just going to use 2 parentheses right over there, and we're going to use quotes. There is a thing about this quotes, as you can use double quotes or even single quotes or even triple quotes to just put some strings into it. Whatever you just write in those quotes, it will never take it as a value. That is like whenever the calculation is in process. So whatever you write inside the codes doesn't matter as they are string like sentences or phrases. So you can just put hello world, and then when you just press enter, you can see that hello world is been printed right over in the output. So this is how it works. So let me get to a new thing where you can just get the value inside and then calculate it, and then we are going to use it as a calculator. So we're just going to make a program of making a calculator. So we're going to see this right now. Okay, now you are going to see how to get the input first. That is, you're just going to make the user to type the information and give it to you so that the program can calculate and do some logic and then give them the output. So how we are going to get or collect the information? We're just going to use input. This is another function that is mainly used in this. So input is a function to just get an input of that particular thing when it is asked. So just going to write input, and then we are going to ask for what is your favorite color. So when you just know what is your favorite color, you just have to enter and it asks what is your favorite color, and you can always just simply say red. So it says it is red. So that is what it is. It just asks for the information, and when you type, it just collects and saves that information and do a lot of process if you're going to implement those programs in it. So now we just ask for input, but this doesn't work if it is a integer or a number. It doesn't work. So how we are going to input that? So we're just going to use another function called int, that is the integer input, and now we're just going to type what we just have to say. What is your favorite number? And then I'm just going to close the code, and as I have the two open brackets, I'm just going to close it with another one, and then I'm just going to hit enter right over here, and it asks what's my favorite number. I can say it is 5, and then it just says 5. So you can actually give the input to a string and an integer, right, like this. So now we're going to make the program even more easier by using this one. So let's get started to it. So let's just start with the thing which we just said. We're just going to add two numbers, but those two numbers must be get from the user. So we're just going to implement something called as a literal. A literal is nothing but a kind of a variable which is just used, where I'll just explain to you in a few moments. So this is the number 1. I'm just going to use n1 for it. n1 equals integer of input, enter the first number. So this is what it is. So n1 is equal to the number that is the first number, and I'm just going to use this same right over here, and I'm just going to change it to n2. This is a new literal, and this to second. So we're just going to get two integers from the user, and then we are going to add it. So to add it, I'm just going to introduce a new literal called as add, which equals n1 plus n2. Now you can see the first time when we did, we just had those two numbers, but we actually did it by ourselves. It can be any number about the user is going to use, so that is why we just gave a new literal right over here. These two are the literals, or you can just assume it as a user variable. Now after we did this, so we're just going to give it an output. It just did everything, but it's not going to give it as an output. So we're just going to print what it is. So we're just going to print the added number is, so I forgot, yeah. Now just added these two codes, and then we're going to introduce a comma and then the add. So this add value contains these added integers into this one, so the result lies inside the add. So I'm just going to put this add right over here, and we're going to end this. So we're just going to run this, but before running you just have to save the module. So after saving in my desktop, just the saved file is right over here, just named as sample, it doesn't matter. But now we're going to run this program using this command right over here, and you can always use the run module right over here, or you can just press the F5 button on your keyboard, and it also works that way. When you just press run, it just shows you enter the first number, which I'm going to enter it as around 40, and the other one to be 65, and then it gives the result as 105, which is exactly the answer we were expecting. So that is what we just did our first program. So thanks for watching. In the next video I'm going to show you in detail on how we can add operators and make it look like a more concentrated thing and a program which is really a good calculator, and then after we will move after to a lot of things which we'll see in future. Thanks for watching. Like, share and subscribe this video.